This is DJI's Mini 2, released back in 2020. But is it still a good drone to have in 2022? Well, yes it is. Come and join me as we find out why together. Welcome back folks, my name is Simon. I have been flying the awesome DJI Mini 2 for nearly 2 years, so I guess this is my long-term review, and please do stick around by subscribing to the channel. That will keep you notified of future tech content going forward, and please don't forget to tap that thumbs up button. Honestly folks, I'm going to start off by saying that the Mini 2 is simply a landmark product release from DJI, and not only is it a great drone for 2022, but it probably will be a great drone even in many years to come. Now sure, the Mini 2 doesn't boast the larger image sensor that can be found on the Mini 3 Pro, and this drone also has obstacle avoidance, something else that is lacking here. Now the great thing about the Mini 2 is it does come under 250 grams with its maximum takeoff weight. This means that in many countries and nations around the world, you are going to find that flying this thing comes with the fewest restrictions that a camera drone can have. Now, not only does it come under 250 grams, as does the slightly larger Mini 3 Pro, but it comes quite a bit under 250 grams, and my particular model weighs 237. So unlike the Mini 3 Pro, this thing has an advantage because you can also include some optional accessories such as strobe lights or propeller guards, for example, and you can still be under that 250 gram limit, whereas with drones such as the Mini 3 Pro, sadly that isn't even possible. And the Mini 2 is also incredibly portable. It is so easy to carry around. You can put it in your travel bag. Every time you pop out, you don't need to simply pack the Mini 2 just because you're focusing on drone videos. You can take this with you every time you go out and catch those unexpected drone shots. It won't get in your way. But despite its small size, the Mini 2 does pack a punch. Okay, it doesn't have the largest image sensor in the world, but this little camera can record at 4K 30 frames per second and will have a bit rate of up to 100 megabits per second as well. So you're going to be capturing some fantastic videos and also some great photos with this thing. The only downside because of that small image sensor is this little thing won't be the best at capturing footage in low light conditions, but that's just a trade-off we're going to have to put up with. It's not that it can't do it, but of course there are some bigger, more powerful drones that will be a little bit better in that area. And the DJI Fly app will also give you a number of options for capturing some fantastic shots, including quick shots, panoramas, and even a time lapse. Sadly, there's no true hyperlapse feature with the Mini 2. But if the Fly app itself isn't enough for you, then DJI have already released the API pack for this drone, and what that means is you can now also download third-party apps such as the Litchi app, which I tend to use with my Mini 2, and this grants even additional features that aren't available on DJI's own software or with their other drones that use their native Fly app software. Of course, we can't review the Mini 2 without talking about the controller that you need to fly the drone. And this thing feels incredibly well made. It has all the functions and buttons on it that you need to fly smoothly and to capture the footage or shots that you want. And the control sticks here can simply twist off and be stored at the bottom whenever the controller's not in use so that they don't get in the way in your travel bag. And all you need to do is pull the antenna up and then connect your phone, iOS or Android device, and then make sure the DJI Fly app is installed on that, and you will be good to go. And one of the great features of the controller is that once you've plugged your device in, you can actually charge your phone using the cable whilst you're flying. And I mentioned that this is the antennae, so you point this towards the drone whilst it's in flight, and then you will get a very strong Wi-Fi signal using DJI's OcuSync 2.0 technology. And what this will do is allow you to automatically switch to the best Wi-Fi band or best Wi-Fi channel whilst you are flying. It's actually a great bit of kit. It works very well with the drone, and you're going to get some fantastic range with this thing. Now, the Mini 3 Pro and its controller connect using the upgraded OcuSync 3.0 technology, but honestly folks, I have not found any advantage with this over the Mini 2. In fact, a lot of the time, I get further range with the Mini 2 than I do with the Mini 3 Pro. What's that about? I have no idea. Now, the Mini 2, when you buy it, is included with one battery, and this thing's actually pretty good. You get 31 minutes of rated flight time out of a single battery at full charge, and honestly guys, that in itself just shows how much tech has come on, drone tech has come on over the last few years, because simply a couple of years before the Mini 2 came out, you'd have been lucky to get about 5 or 6 minutes out of a battery of this size. Now 31 minutes is great, but you only get that really in perfect conditions. I usually get about 25 minutes if it's not too windy. So you know, if you're going to be flying a lot, I would recommend you also pick up the Mini 2 with its Fly More combo kit. And this will give you an additional 2 batteries along with the charging hub so that you can charge all 3 of them together at the same time. Use a fast charger and it whizzes through the charge very, very quickly. And what I've done is just labelled my batteries 1 through 3 so that I know which ones I've used and which ones I have left to go. Now, if this is going to be your first time flying a drone, you may be a little bit nervous. Don't worry, that's normal. But the DJI Mini 2 does have you covered with a number of safety features, just in case things start to go wrong. First off, you do have your transceiver built into the drone so that it can maintain a solid GPS lock at all times. This is especially useful if you happen to lose complete connection to the controller or to the DJI Fly app, because even if the drone ends up being out on its lonesome with no connection whatsoever, as long as you had a home point when you took off, something I would always recommend, by the way, is never take off until the Fly app tells you that it has updated the home point. As long as that is the case, then after a few seconds of being disconnected, the drone will automatically return to that home point. No input required from the user. So with the safety features, it is actually very, very difficult to lose this thing. Just remember, of course, there is no obstacle avoidance, so make sure you have your home point settings set up correctly. I usually have the return to home feature set up to about 60 meters, just so I know it's not going to be hitting any trees on its way back. And of course, these safety features are there more as a backup. You should really be aware as to the location of your drone at all times, making sure it remains in visual line of sight. That is one of the regulations, at least here in the UK. Now, if the worst does come to the worst and you somehow lose your drone, or if it crashes and it stumbles to the ground, there is the Find My Drone feature, and this actually works very well. Due to that GPS lock, the last known location of the drone will be printed on your map on your DJI Fly app. And as you start to get close to it, then you can activate a special sound. The drone will start to make a noise so that you can use your ears to locate its specific location. Very, very helpful. Again, if you do lose the drone, you will probably be able to get it back. Unless you've sent it for a swim into a river or something, then it's probably bye-bye. And finally, with the safety features, DJI also keep the FlySafe database regularly updated, which means that if you are in a restricted area with your flights, then the DJI Fly app will warn you. And if you are in a no-fly zone, then in theory, the Mini 2 shouldn't take off at all. Honestly, folks, I am such a big fan of this drone. It is such a joy to fly. Don't get me wrong, I'm also a big fan of my Mini 3 Pro, but it's a little bit more bulky, and I actually prefer the design of the Mini 2, if I'm completely honest with you. That's just a personal thing, but I also seem to have less problems with the Mini 2. Maybe it's because the Mini 3 Pro is newer, there's still a few bugs to be ironed out, but I find that the Mini 2 connects more consistently. The Mini 3 Pro seems to disconnect more often than the Mini 2 does. I get a better range with the Mini 2. I get less crashes with the Mini 2. And honestly, folks, you know, I cannot fault it. And because of the Mini 3 Pro, being out on the market, this thing is often reduced in price as well, so it's regularly a lot cheaper than what it was when it first came out. And as for the lack of obstacle avoidance, well, even if you are a new drone flyer, that shouldn't really be an issue. Ironically, you know, I've had this for 2 years, and it's the DJI Mini 3 Pro, which I've only had for a number of, well, just a few months really, and I've already had to exchange this drone after crashing the first one that I had. That was with the obstacle avoidance, which tends to lure you into a false sense of security. You don't have that with the Mini 2 Pro. But overall, would I recommend the DJI Mini 2 to you folks in 2022? Absolutely, I would. I'm sure that comes as no surprise. Maybe you're going to be getting into the hobby for the first time, or perhaps you are looking to replace an older drone that has kept you going for a number of years. I think the Mini 2 is a superb choice. It's been out for a while, so most of the bugs have been ironed out. You get superb shots with its 4K 30 camera, and that gimbal will just give you such a smooth image. It's almost unbelievable, you know, when the drone's up in the air, you can sometimes see it at an angle because it's compensating for the wind, but you would never notice on the actual footage itself because that gimbal does its job perfectly. It really does. But folks, as always, please do share your own thoughts on the DJI Mini 2. I know that many of you watching this have probably already been flying the drone for a while, so please do let me know how you have found your experiences with this little device. And if you are thinking of getting the Mini 2, then please feel free to ask any questions you may have in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them if I see them, or I'm sure others will be happy to help as well. But thank you so much for stopping by. I hope the video has been helpful to you. My name is Simon. This is Simon's Drones. Please do remember to stick around by tapping that subscribe button, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.